Yellow YouTube, just ignore what's going on in the background, but this is What If Logic, and I will be giving you a video because I didn't post one yesterday. So this is What If Deku Fell into the Underground, Part 2. So we continue our story off with Deku squaring up against Toriel, who Deku, it isn't easy for Deku, but yeah, he's still getting hit a couple of times. It took him a while to calm Miss Toriel down, or Goat Mom, as we all call her. But yeah, pause it. So yeah, so Deku, it took Deku a while for him to stop, or to calm Miss or Toriel down. But their fight isn't really that important. It's just exactly the same thing that happens with Frisk. He just manages to calm her down by acting. Now, Deku, he beats Toriel and he walks through. He doesn't even say anything because he can't. He doesn't know what to say. So he walks through and he makes it into, well, the area where he meets Flowey. Which Deku, he isn't. I really don't know I don't remember what personality I gave Deku, but yeah, there would be major character developments. But Deku, he threw the stick at Flowey, which Flowey easily ducked. Then, oh yeah, so you guys, there's gonna be an OP twist in the future. So yeah. Anyway, I am going to, well guys, I have a question for you. Never mind, you guys don't have a say in it. Anyway, so Deku, he throws a stick at Flowey, which Flowey dodges it. He says that you're so boring, human, but at least you have more spunk than the last human that kept falling. Now, as Flowey keeps talking and then disking, like basically roasting Deku, he's like, goodbye, as Flowey disappears. So Deku, he is still a little bit scared of Flowey. He runs out of the room at the fastest chance he can get. So Deku runs, and he finally makes it to, well, snow area. So Deku's walking around as he hears a branch break behind him. Deku turns around. Actually, Deku doesn't even turn. My dude just starts walking faster, which then that walk turns into a jog, and then that jog turns into a flat-out sprint. So Deku, he finally makes it to the bridge where he stops, and he's like, dang it, as Sans appears. And he's like, yo, kid, don't you know how when to turn around and shake my hand? As Deku does, taking Sans' hand, which Sans flinches. And Deku's like, my bad. Then the fart sound goes off, and Sans isn't laughing. He's like, well, I was expecting someone else, but, well, whatever, kid. As he gets up. Oh yeah, this AU, the AU that Deku is in right now, this is the Glitch Tail AU, so you can expect a lot of glitches. Yeah, this is basically the Glitch Tail AU. You know, Betty's gonna be in this. A bunch of other things are gonna happen too. So yeah, Deku, he's like, you were expecting someone else. I mean, is there another human around here? And Sans like, no. As he takes Deku's hand, actually, he just tells Deku to walk across the bridge, and you should meet his brother. Well, that you would meet his brother there, which Deku, he does. Sans doesn't even give a proper explanation. He's like, alright, I guess things are going to be different this reset, huh? As Sans has been through the genocide run a couple of times, so yeah. Sans goes across the bridge where he sees Deku talking to Papyrus. Deku's just standing there with a little laugh on his face. As Papyrus, he's like, I will capture you, human, as he finally walks off. So Sans walks up on Deku and he's like, yo, kid. And I'm not shipping Deku and Sans, because people who ship Sans with Frisk are disgusting, because Sans is all the way in his 40s and Frisk is still like a 7 to 6 year old little girl. You perverts. Anyway, yeah. And Deku isn't gay in this timeline, so I'm not shipping him. Anyway, Deku, Sans walks up to Deku and he's like, yo, kid, did you see any other humans in the ruins? Deku's like, no. I mean, Toriel says I was the only human that fell in like 6 years. And Sans is like, interesting. As he's thinking to himself, have we finally got out of the resets? As Deku's like, well, I'm gonna go up ahead to Snowden. It is kind of cold around here. And Sans is like, oh yeah, just keep straight. As Deku walks off. So Sans is sitting there in his feelings. As he's like, yeah, no time to dwell on it. As he walks towards Snowden himself. So Deku finally arrives in Snowden, which he looks at a sign that says library. Okay, he was like, oh, okay. I'm pretty sure it's not spelled that way, but whatever. As Deku continues to walk. So Deku talks to a few monsters around the settlement as he finally gets to one of Papyrus's puzzles. After he walks out of the town, actually, he does encounter a bunch of dogs, which Deku spares them all. No love around here. Oh yeah, Deku's stats. He has 35 defense and 10 attack. I know you're like, that's high. Shouldn't his attack and defense, shouldn't his defense be 20 and his attack be 1? And that is where you are wrong. Because all humans, I'm pretty sure, have different stats from each other. And Frisk had a stat level of 20 and 1 attack. So just deal with it. And like I said, Deku, his past will be revealed in the future. So, yeah. Deku has encountered dogs as he spared them all, mercy, and he walks on ahead. Oh yeah, Genocide runs for the what ifs. They're gonna be like 50 likes because I don't enjoy killing off my favorite characters. Anyway, so Deku finally makes it to the final battle with Papyrus because all those puzzles aren't really important. So yeah. And Frisk, which is a twist. This is Chara, which Chara has taken over Frisk's body and she's continuously killed them. So Chara already fell. Well, that's when we'll switch over to Chara's perspective. After she gets up from falling, I'm gonna say that Flowey appears. He's like, another human? But you. As Chara looks over at Azrael, and he's like, she's like, yo, Flowey. As Flowey's like, you know my name? As he's like, yeah, I've reset a bunch of times. Like, I've killed you a bunch of times as well. As Flowey gets creeped out, she's like, and Chara's like, throws, I'm gonna say, like, a rock that she picked up at Flowey, which hits him. And she's like, and what did you mean by another one? As she grabs Flowey by his root. And Flowey's like, another human fell before you. And Chara's like, interesting. As Chara looks over to Toriel, who has done her normal walk around, which Chara's like, yeah, I'm not strong enough to fight her yet. So she pretends, she does her good girl act, switches over to Frisk, basically. So yeah, we go back to Deku, who is throwing hands with Papyrus. So Deku, he's throwing hands with Papyrus, as then Deku flinches a little bit, which causes him to trip and fall on one of Papyrus's bones. Which that bone goes through Deku's arm, which Deku still is, and he is an 8-year-old kid. So Papyrus is like, my human, I'm sorry. As Deku, he's like, don't worry about it, as he gets off, basically gets off the bone. And it's as if nothing actually happened to Deku. As Deku turns around and looks towards the ruins. He's like, okay, that was a little bit weird. As he turns around, and then Sans is in his face. He's like, yo, kid, you flinched. What happened? As Deku's like, I felt something, but it's probably nothing. And Sans is like, you felt something. Well, whatever, kid. As he tells a pun, and Papyrus gets mad, running over to Sans, hitting him, and then taking, basically, Deku back to Snowden. Which Deku's arm gets patched up, and yeah. So, Deku, he lives in Snowden for, I'm gonna say, a couple of hours. And his arm is still bandaged because it is basically bleeding. But Papyrus is like, yo. He's basically like, Deku, your arm is oozing black stuff. And Deku's like, oh, huh? It was just like it was when I fell in the underground. It's probably just human blood. As Papyrus is like, you humans are basically weird. Deku's like, yeah. I know. Deku thinks that using black stuff from his body is normal. So, yeah. Deku, well, I'm gonna say that Deku flinches again. He looks to a direction. He looks at a random direction towards a wall. Sans is like, he's looking that direction again. And he's like, yo, Papyrus, why don't you go make us some spaghetti, basically. And then Deku turns back around and look at Sans, who has his serious face on, which means blacked out eyes as he's looking at Deku. He's like, kid, you mind telling me what's going on? You've looked that direction twice now. And Deku's like, oh, sorry. It's just something unsettling. It's just like he's feeling something unsettling. And as Deku clenches his fist, he's like, I want to go near it. As Sans is like, unsettling, huh? As he's like, well, it looks like the human fell. As Deku's like, huh? And Sans is like, oh, sorry, nothing. As he tells the pun, and Deku laughs. So, yeah. Our boy Deku gets up and starts roaming around when, nothing happens. But when Deku hears a knock on the door, which Sans is sleeping or napping, as Deku runs over the door and he's like, I'm answering it, Papyrus. So Papyrus is like, thank you, human. My lazy brother doesn't do anything to help me. As Deku opens the door and he sees a girl who looks a little bit dusty. So Deku's like, huh? Hello? He's like, you're human. As Sans wakes up immediately, and he looks towards the door, which a girl with black or brown hair, and basically a striped shirt with pants, she says, greetings. As that is where I'll be ending this video off. Here, the next part will be 10 likes again, because this series isn't as popular. So I was like, gotta keep it low. So, yeah. The next part we will be getting into, I'm not gonna tell you that. So, yeah. Greetings. So, the next part, I'm just gonna tell you now. Next part, we'll just be getting into Deku versus Chara, which isn't gonna go well for Deku because he does not have enough love, or just not as powerful enough to face Chara, which Sans, I'm gonna say that Sans is, I'm not gonna tell you because that's just spoiling, but yeah. Greetings. So, yeah, I'm just gonna leave now so I can record this other video, but yeah, goodbye. Like goal 10 likes. Sorry for not making a video yesterday.